Modern day hip-hop and R&B production is full of techniques, tricks of the trade if you will. Some are well known, some are gate-kept. At the end of the day, those who really study the craft figure out the ways to make music that is not only good but is simple at the same time. They follow the less is more rule, even if that means making a beat with just one chord. Well, kind of. Let me show you what I mean. Alright, so here we have a sample that is based around one chord. Heavy lifting is done by this one melody, Broken Piano. Decent sampler. It's a really good plugin. I love the way it sounds. And so I started with A minor scale. I can show you that in here it's selected A minor natural Aeolian. And I began to just draw the notes in here. Nothing special. You can use your MIDI keyboard and kind of noodle different melodies. My goal was to make a sample that could be flipped into mesmerizing Brent Faiyaz type beat, Leon Thomas, stuff like that. So I began clicking in the notes. Sometimes I plug in my MIDI keyboard, but in this case, I just clicked it in. And this is what I came up with. These two, we can kind of break it down into A and B section. So this is A section, this is B section. They're the same. The only difference is that these three notes at the end of each section are in two different octaves. E, D, and B is in the higher octave, and E, D, and B here is in the lower octave. That's really it. All I did here is I randomized velocities. That's it. You're good to go. Sounds good. Straight out of the plugin. Next, I consolidated that melody into an audio file and I sent it to Mixer, where I added quite a bit of processing to this, starting with parametric EQ2. So let me turn off all the plugins here, kind of go one by one. So parametric EQ2, removing the lows and boosting a little bit of presence. Then I added Cymatics Deja Vu to create that extra layer of slowed down part of this melody. And this is only 25% mix level. Here's what it sounds like so far. Okay, so here's one trick that is not really gate-kept. A lot of producers on YouTube space are successfully utilizing that. I think it's a dope thing. It kind of lets you move quickly when you're making samples. After you've created your melody, whatever chord, then you can take and drop that melody by 5 semitones and have A and B section of your sample. It's just that you have two different tones of that melody, if that makes any sense. So you're basically creating a 1-5 chord progression, if I can say so. So if this melody I turned by 300 cents, then I copied it and made it unique, and I turned this one down by 200 cents. So now we have 5 semitones of difference between them. And so here's what it sounds like when one ends and the next one starts. For processing on this melody, after Cymatics, I have UAD Pultec EQ plugin. You don't have to do any of that. I just was trying different plugins that I recently bought and, just kind of felt the need to stick it in there. But whatever, you don't have to do that at all. You can use whatever plugin you have or just skip the step entirely. But here I picked upright piano preset. Next, I added a little bit of a reverb. Then I EQ'd the lows again and tamed the highs. UAD tube compressor, sketch cassette. I believe it's adding a little bit of wow, flutter, all that cassette type stuff. And lastly, fruity parametric EQ, removing the lows. Quite a few plugins here. Let's hear what it sounds like with all that. versus without the plugins. Not that it sounds bad or anything, it's just adding more room, more richness, more clarity, a lot more vintage. It's a taste thing. Go ahead and experiment with what you got. I know I say that a lot, but that's what production is all about. Next here, I got this little one shot from a producer named Hicks on YouTube. This came from his stash kit of one shots, and this melody could not be any simpler. Call and response technique, something that I do pretty much all the time in my beats. If you listen to the original melody along with this one, you can hear that when one ends, the second one plays, and then it goes back and forth, back and forth. They almost don't play at the same time. They just kind of fill in the blank space. They essentially fill in the blank space for each other. Next plugin, we have Modo Bass 2. I feel like I use it in every video tutorial here, but this is really one of my favorite bass plugins. I used to use a lot of one-shots for guitar bass, but then I just decided to buy this plugin, and now I have all these guitars. Probably an overkill, but at least now I have a variety of basses. This bass melody is just following the chords. As for processing, I have a Mixbox plugin, and essentially this is a effects strip with American Vintage preamp, distortion, another vintage EQ, and a saturator. Let's check what it sounds like with just this plugin. Next one is Manny EQ Stereo. And lastly, just a parametric EQ removing the highs. I just wanted to save more room for the main melody and everything else that I'm going to go over. Okay, let's hear what it sounds like so far. Next, I went for strings library, namely Labs Frozen Strings. Here I just picked violin, and another one is Spitfire Audio BBC Symphony. Same thing, violins here. I think I just wanted two different tones of the violin, and I panned them, one slightly to the left, another one slightly to the right. Here we have notes that are also following the chord and also have following that same 1-5 progression, C and G, and then dropping down to G and D. If we take these notes and bring them up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll land exactly where the first chord is. And so here's what these two sound like. As for processing, I don't have much on this one, just parametric EQ, cutting the lows and highs. Next, I added a bunch of Earcandy. All of these sounds came from Hicks one-shot sound pack. This particular pack, it just fits that vintage vibe. I'm going to play only the string section and the Earcandy elements, just so you kind of get the idea of where do they fit. Then I added a rim bop reverb that's from Des Wright. This is just creating a rhythm for the sample as it progresses. Next, I added heavy vinyl. just some crackling here. I was listening to the sample a few times and I decided to drop it down by 300 cents. Soften plugin by Sonox. The setting is mix bus. It's really in the name. It just softens overall dynamics of this sample. And lastly, I have a tape recorder plugin. You're probably not going to hear it much, but it adds a little bit of that tape saturation. So let me know, what else do you want me to talk about? Let me know what industry producers you would like to know more about. And with that, God bless you. Peace out.